Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. First of all, a really big apology for taking so long to get this video out. I think it's been, what, 2 weeks now. The reason for it was Jan and I were chasing our tails, just doing a million different little jobs on the truck to get it ready. A lot of what we were doing was not able to be filmed because it was after the engine was in, it was up in the engine bay doing wiring and plumbing and things like that. It was not interesting viewing, so I'll more give you a rundown of what's been done, and I'll show you in the two engine hatches. You can kind of see how it all fits up. So we've done, I don't know how many kilometers we would have done yet, maybe 300 or so kilometers maybe in total since the engine's been in. So, okay, so in a nutshell, it is freaking amazing. Like, it's unreal how much it's transformed the truck. This truck has gone from being a slug to being a heck of a lot of fun. So it is phenomenal. The OM605 is absolutely purring. We've not done a compression check since she's been in there because we just haven't had the time. So rest assured though, like, this thing just rips. It's so cool. My main concern with when the engine was in was having quite high EGTs. If you're not unfamiliar with EGTs, it's often how diesel tuning gets done. Rather than AFR, which is your air fuel ratio, that's really important for petrol gasoline engines. Diesel doesn't care so much about AFR, it's more about EGTs. EGTs are your exhaust gas temperatures. We have a pyrometer, which is like a little sensor that is just in the manifold pre-turbo, so it's the most accurate place that we can measure what the exhaust gas temperatures are. And that gives you a really good indicator of not only the health of your engine, but also your diesel to air mixture. If you are putting too much diesel fuel into the combustion chamber and not enough air is getting in at the same time, then your EGTs are really high. So that's kind of how we've been tuning the engine. Bear in mind also, this is a heavy 4-ton truck, so we've always expected, of course, EGTs to be a bit higher because it's got to get this big lug, this big Swedish brick moving through the air quite fast. So I've been seeing upwards to 600 plus degrees Celsius EGTs. So, but that's mostly under load. Some of it was actually cruising in 5th gear, so that was where I was getting concerned, because it's very difficult to find out on the internet or anywhere for that matter what a safe EGT is for prolonged use. Of course, you can spike your EGT, so say you're going up hills, stuff like that. That's quite safe as long as it's for a really short amount of time. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's given me a bit of stress and headache and a lot of research that I've been doing just to learn about tuning diesels. I've since had some good information that these tuned OM605s with the diesel mech pumps should be running quite a bit hotter than kind of expected, I guess, and everything seems to be fine and within spec. But with Jan in the passenger seat, we did go for quite a few drives around his neighborhood, tuning the fuel pump. There are 2 screws on what's called the elder. One is your on boost fueling, so that's when the turbo is kicked in and you're kind of, putting the gas down. That determines how much fuel is being fired in. And your other screw that you can adjust is your off boost mixture, or very low boost fuel mixture. And tweaking both of those, well, first of all, if you wind them up, the power and torque just skyrockets. So it's like your ideal scenario if you can actually tune those up. But your downsides of that is you get black smoke, rolling coal coming out the exhaust pipe, which just means you've got unburnt diesel, and of course EGTs go up. So we have tuned it very mildly for now, but it still absolutely rips. Where I'm not super stoked with is the change between 3rd gear into 4th gear. I've got to really rev the engine high in 3rd gear up to about 50 kilometers an hour. And then when I get into 4th gear, it's a little bit sluggish until boost builds in the turbo, and then like 4th gear, unleashes. Like in fourth gear, I can go from 50k an hour up to like 80, 90, even higher, and the engine doesn't seem to be revving really high. And that's me on like half accelerator. It's just got absolute ridiculous power from what I'm used to. And then I've got a fifth gear now as well, and fifth gear I think I was using too early. So I think I was changing into fifth gear when I was at like 70k an hour, and I probably should have been waiting till I was like 80, 85k an hour plus. And what that meant was the torque went down on the motor because the RPM had dropped, and therefore it was kind of the turbo having to do all of the work and just firing more fuel into the combustion chamber, and that was spiking my AGTs. So it just required quite a bit of driving for me to understand how much different the vehicle is now. And I now drive it to EGTs as opposed to like driving it to RPM or sound. It's very much, I just keep an eye on EGTs. I will put the keys in just to show you what I mean by that. We've got a few sensors now. So I now have my EGT gauge here. Hopefully you can, let me just, yep, you can see that. So 17 degrees, that'll go up to 600 plus when I'm absolutely booting it. But normal driving around town, it's like 400s, I guess. Here I have a temperature gauge. I've got one on the top of the block with the coolant, and I've got another one which is the gearbox. So that's that was a cheapo one just off Amazon, but that gives me a bit of peace of mind just in case my stock temperature gauge doesn't work. Diesels do prefer to run hotter than gasoline engines by default. My temperatures I'm seeing, just judging by my default temperature gauge, my stock one, which is definitely probably not accurate, but I'm seeing anything between like 75 and like 95 to 100 degrees coolant temperature, which seems to be well within spec. And then over here I have my boost gauge now. So that's showing me in bar how much boost I'm getting on the turbo, and that was mostly installed as a bit of a troubleshooting to make sure that I didn't really have like a boost leak or anything like that, and that it was maintaining boost. The turbo is set up as stock, the HE221, and she's amazing. It's so good, and I'll get above 1.5 bar if I really boot it. So there's heaps of turbski going on, which is really, really, really cool. I now have my power steering on a knob here. I can't remember if I showed you that, guys. And now the horn has changed to here. The power steering it's crazy. So I just don't notice it. So it's like driving a car again, I guess. So I don't even really think about it. But what I did notice was when the motor was set to its maximum power, it was almost too flighty for me. So I've actually toned it right down. I'll probably end up running all the way as low as this motor here will go. But yeah, it's great. Angie's gonna love it when she drives it. Now a bit needs to be said for the changes in gears. So that really threw me a curveball, and it took me a little while to get used to what was going on. So I was used to needing to open this gate and go down to get into reverse, but now reverse is up here, and I still need to go into a gate to get there, but I also need to use this gate to get into first. So that made it a bit strange. And then second, third, fourth, fifth, I'm used to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On, you know, Japanese vehicles that I've owned, Japanese four-wheel drives, Land Cruisers, Pajeros and stuff like that, that's always been 1 top left. But Jan has said that German vehicles in particular often have 1 down at the bottom here, which confused the heck out of me, to be honest. And because some adjustments needed to be made after the gearbox was put in with the linkage, they were really close together and I just couldn't work it out. So we've done some adjusting and now I'm much better with it. Okay, so there she is. Obviously it's a bit hard to just show you everything here, but the fit and finish is really nice. So the cover is exactly the same as it was before. Nothing protrudes up. Everything is really good down here, I guess you could say. Here is my airbox. I'll talk to you about the airbox soon. And that just runs over into the turbo down there. I can still access the oil, and the dipstick we've bent so that I can access it here, which is nice. Everything else under here, the handbrake, you can see fits quite nicely. And everything goes past the brake boosters. Yeah, it's all fine. So I just talked briefly about the airbox. So that was a bit of a headache. I didn't realize how much how much maths goes into finding the right airbox for a turbo diesel application. So you have to have enough of what's called CFM, so CFM cubed, so cubic feet of air per minute. That's how you calculate enough airflow getting in to the motor. And to be honest, there's very little in terms of like a stock, I should say a default drop-in airbox situation which would have your filter in. So I saw a few for like patrols and stuff in Australia, coming out of Australia. They were just stupidly expensive. That was some of the only stuff I could find. And then I saw K&N. They're a renowned filter brand. They've gotten a little bit of a bad rap because I think from what I can tell, you're meant to spray oil on their filters and people don't, and they expect them to filter out as much dust as their OEM stock filter, and they don't, which is predictable. So what I've done is I've gone with a K&N style filter for a few reasons. A, it was small enough to fit in this space here without modification. B, it could handle over 300 horsepower in a turbo application. And 3, it is water sealed, so any water ingress coming up through here is not going to hydro lock the engine. So I went with, I think it's an eBay knockoff of the K&N Apollo, because the price was just too good to pass up, and yeah, I'm thinking maybe it wasn't legit. So what I did was I bought a legitimate K&N filter, cone filter for it, which was like 60, 70 euro. And I put that in so that I know that the most important part, which is the actual branded filter, is legitimate. And that, I guess, seems to be working fine. I'll show you where that routes out soon in terms of like a snorkel. Okay, so here is the front. So this is my air intake here, just behind the grille. That goes underneath and back up to that K&N Apollo filter. This seems to all be nice and watertight, which is good. This is aluminium because it was lighter and cheaper than stainless, and I will be painting it. Now this is kind of, I would say, a work in progress. It's not ideal that the Volvo, this part of the grille goes over the front of it. But I've run some tests with the grille on and the grille off, and there's zero change in temperature to the EGTs. So it doesn't actually seem to be having any effect at all. This is the Frozen Boost radiator for our air-to-water intercooler. And that is nice. I'm really happy with that. That's where you fill it up here, so it's its own reservoir. And that runs down to a pump. Sorry, it is a bit dark, guys. The pump is just behind this rail here. This is my only grey area of the build so far, I think, is how can I tell if it's even bloody working? I can hear the pump moving, but I can never feel any temperature change on this actual radiator. Like, I would have thought it would have got a little bit warmer after a long drive, but it hasn't. So I don't know if maybe there's an air pocket in it, there could be, or I'm just finding it very difficult to understand how I test if it's working, other than just kind of like unplugging it and seeing if the temperature goes up. I don't really know. So for anyone who's got some expertise with air to water intercoolers, please let me know. I have done lots more research and I am confident air to water is the way to go, especially for this grill size, the space that I've got. And I've noticed people on like patrol forums in Oz are using them, and with great success. So yeah, please let me know if you know anything about that. But that's the front. It looks mostly stock now, which is cool. Yes, this is the snorkel, and yes, it is just lower than my chest height, and I'm 6'2", so I think personally it's easily high enough away from water ingress Let me know what you think. Now, this is a tricky vehicle to do a snorkel on. There's no nice way to do it, I don't think. So I've seen one guy in the States, he put a grill here, and that was technically his snorkel. But that meant that the air intake pipe came out of the engine bay inside the vehicle. And you'll know if you've driven big turbo diesels, they make a lot of noise, the air intake, like a whistle noise of that turbo, so I definitely don't want it inside, so that's not an option for me. I don't want it snaking out here up the front, and there's no nice way for me to bring it around the side without ruining the profile of Skadi. So I personally do think this is the nicest way to do it. It doesn't block too much of the radiator. And what I'm thinking I'll do is I'll get a piece of pipe, like flexible pipe, and I'll have that on hand so that I can basically, in like a worst case situation where I've got to go into water that's that deep, which I'm really high, I think I've done something wrong if I'm doing that, I can extend it up just temporarily with some zip ties. Alright, let me take you to the epic, it's dirty now, but the epic stainless steel muffler that Jan made us. How good is that? So that's the muffler from Poland. Again guys, it's a bit dark, but it wraps around in here and just goes straight into basically a downpipe, straight into a flexible connector. This is a clamp that cuts it in half, so when I unbolt that, that means I can actually just pull the muffler out really easily. It is on the stock mount here, and we've done another one here which holds it up nicely. So very happy with the muffler, kind of in the stock location, just dumps it down here in front of the tyre but not on the tyre, so it doesn't heat the tyre up at all. And I've set the tune up, well we've tuned the fuel pump so that it's not dumping much smoke at all. I might tune that up at some stage, we'll see how we go. Okay, so oh yes, and another thing, so a guy on the Volvo forum made this free and available to use. It's like a trailer hitch that goes into where the old pintle hook used to go, with your standard square hitch with a pin that goes through. So that was very generous of him. He designed it, put it up on the forum so that anyone could download it. So then downloaded it, got it cut at a CNC cutting place. Jan then welded it up for me. And then we've got Sabre very generously. You might know Sabre, they're our recovery gear, both in Australia and on Skadi. Australian brand, guy's a legend, and he sent us over this soft shackle recovery ring. And I really wanted that before Iceland, all set up so that if we have to be pulled out by anything, we can be. There's an actual point here on the back where there wasn't before. And also we can pull people out without having to do it in reverse with our front mount. So that's given me a lot of peace of mind. Plus if we ever want to run a bike rack, we can, or something off that trailer hitch. Inside is as per usual. I will pull the table out and open this up. Alright, so here's the back of the engine. You've seen the intercooler before, I think, from the BMW M3. Here is one of the intake pipes, really easy to take off so that I can get to this fuel pump and other stuff here. And straight out of the turbo, you can see the other side. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. So, everything just fit nicely, obviously with Jan doing a lot of help. Everything just fit really well. I noticed some people said not to use the piping here. I ran that past Jan because that was he just went and did that. That wasn't something, you know, we brainstormed together, and that's what he's had on his truck for the last 5 years with zero issue. So I'll definitely leave that for now. I do know about galvanic corrosion. In fact, if I had a penny for every comment I had on Bowser about galvanic corrosion, I would probably have about $5. Yeah, not noticed any galvanic corrosion. I think galvanic corrosion is very much, in my opinion, more relevant in a marine application. I'm sure it'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, maybe in 10-15 years time, that might do some damage, and I'll hopefully change it out before then. for now, that is working really well. Any questions, would love to hear it. I don't know any figures yet, of course, in terms of power and torque. I must admit it doesn't feel anything like Bowser in terms of torque. It's more just so much more power than Bowser, which is so nice. Like, it's just a really beautiful car to drive on the road now. Bowser is not. And it just has just so much power to spare, which is really nice. So I can like overtake at like 90k an hour. We've been to like 105k an hour so far. I'm way too scared to push faster than that. Not until after Iceland. I really just don't want to learn if the portals and stuff can take that speed. I don't want to learn that now. So I'm just going to, I'll find that out after Iceland. But I've got it on good authority that they will be fine. Again, just a huge thank you for your support on the engine builds. And again, a massive thank you for the support on our GoFundMe. That was just far and away above what we ever expected when we set it up. It enabled us to pay for parts of the build. We were able to pay Jan for some of his labor, and of course pay him for all of his parts and stuff that he was giving me in his workshop. So I can never repay him entirely for how much time and effort he spent, but at least it enabled us to give him a little something to cover his costs. So again, thank you so much, guys. Now it is time for us to get back on the road traveling again. As some of you will know, we have a very important movie to film. We're really confident that we can pull something really magical off, and we need to spend all of our time and effort and energy in doing that, because it is a 3-month competition and 2 months have already passed and we've done nothing for it. So we really need to push in this next month to get that done in Iceland. So I would say vlogging will take a bit of a back burner, at least just until we can film and kind of film that movie and get it done and maybe edited. But we will still be filming in Iceland. It might just be released just a little bit later than normal. So yeah, hang with us. We haven't bailed on YouTube. We really need to focus on this, because the prize is 100,000 Australian dollars if we are voted to win, and that would just be massively life-changing for us. Like, hard to describe how life-changing that would be. So we just need to put all of our effort into it. Otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't forgive myself for not really giving it our all. I know a theme and a storyline. It's going to be a proper 20-minute movie as opposed to like a vlog style or anything like that. So it's going to be very different. So I do hope you guys will watch it, vote for who you think is the best. We are really nervous, but also really keen to get this filming underway, because I think we're probably going to be the last team to film, because we have left it so late. So, but yeah, can't be helped. But look what we've achieved. Look how glorious it is. And oh my gosh, it's so nice going back to diesel. It just sounds so much better. When I turn this truck on, I go, oh yes. It sounds like this truck always should have sounded. Yes, it's louder. The idle sound is louder in here, but it is glorious. Like it's not louder than Bowser in any way. Oakley still loves it. In fact, he had a second nap the other day when we were driving, which he never has, and that was not ideal. But yeah, he just loves that diesel sound. He's just growing up with it. I'll stop yabbering, but yeah, again, thank you so much, guys. I'm like a little kid in a candy store driving this thing. It is amazing. No, I'm being careful. I'm not doing any burnouts or anything like that. I don't want to break anything, so I am nervous. And we did have some issues. I blew the idler pulley off on road twice, snapped the bolt and dumped the belt on the road, and of course that means no water pump, so like can't continue driving like that. So I had to do a couple of roadside fixes, but since then yesterday Jan redesigned it a bit for me, and that should not ever happen again. But yeah, it was like right down to the wire to get us ready to be on the road today. And yeah, I'm still really nervous. Like, I don't have full confidence in it yet. Yeah, that confidence will grow just like it did with Bowser. When you start, basically when your life starts depending on your vehicle, that's when I find a whole new relationship with your machine happens. It's really hard for me to describe, but I very much do anthropomorphize this vehicle. And like I tell myself, and like I kind of whisper to her when Ange isn't watching, because she probably think I'm absolutely nuts, but kind of whisper that she did have a heart transplant and she needed it really badly. I just get shivers just thinking about it. Look at that. Shivers. But it very much, when you live out of a vehicle for a long period of time and it is your only home and it's like your bastion, it's your safety net from strangers, from crazy people, this is everything from the weather, the elements. Iceland's remote. Like, we're going into places where there is zero cell service. We're going to be in the Highlands. And if something breaks that I can't fix, we're in Iceland. What do I do? Like, I don't think there's just a ton of mechanics. Like, yeah, it's intense. It's a pretty risky place to go for having just done an engine swap. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's no one coming to save us. There's no backup here. If something breaks, like, it's not going to be a lot of fun. But it won't. We got this. We need your good vibes as well. And I think this is going to end up being one of the best investments we've ever made in our lives. And I'm very confident that we made the right choice with the OM605. Oh, I knew you guys would want to know. Fuel economy. Day before it was all the way into a headwind, and yesterday not so bad, but I was kind of more pushing the motor on these highways, and we averaged 18 litres per 100 kilometres. So a tiny bit higher than we were hoping, but so much better than the B30, because that was again averaging 29 litres per 100. Yeah, 18 litres per 100 in the diesel. So already game changing for us. We're really excited, like kids. I mean, some of you will be like, man, that's bad fuel economy. For us, that is fantastic.
All right, and we made it to Iceland. So we've actually arrived yesterday morning, but before we jumped onto the ferry to Iceland, we've actually explored a bit more of the coastline of Denmark, and we were able to visit a few World War II bunkers, which, as you can imagine, Chris was in total heaven. So yeah, we took quite a bit of time to explore properly. Very cool. They just let you just explore for free and at your own pace. And then it was time to jump to the ferry, which was a 2-day crossing all the way here to Iceland, with a stop along the way in the Faroe Islands, around 1,800 kilometers in total. Quite a bit of a rough journey for us, even though the condition was actually pretty good, but we both got seasick, especially Chris. But one thing we were very grateful for was we got a free upgrade to a really nice cabin with huge windows, so we could actually get a bit of light and we could actually look at the horizon within our bedroom. The cabin we had booked had no windows, so yeah, super grateful for that. Overall, very good experience in the ship, very cool facilities. And then yesterday when we arrived with Chris, we both felt not so well, so we decided to take it easy, just take a nice little drive to the nearest town. And first impression, like, wow, waterfalls coming off every corner, the snow in the distance, some mountains. I mean, even the backdrop here, incredible. So this is just the start. This is not even the nicest part. I'm just so excited for what's ahead. So today we are finalizing our itinerary, and be assured that Skadi is going to be put to the test. You will see more of Skadi in action along those F-roads and 4-draft tracks. We can't wait to take you along. That will take a bit of time to come to you, but rest assured, we are going to film it all. Alright, so now that we've made it to Iceland, I would like to thank today's sponsor for this video, Holofly. Since we've left Morocco back in March, we've actually changed countries 9 times, and this is why we are using Holofly eSIM and their Europe regional plan. So every time we cross a border, we don't have to do anything, buy any physical SIM card at every border. We just have to cross the border and automatically Holofly changes to a new local provider. There is no extra fee, no roaming fees. The Europe regional plan is great. It covers 40 countries, including as well Iceland, which is a huge bonus for us. Another thing we love about Holofly is the unlimited data. As full-time travelers and content creators, we rely on our phones so much for everyday tasks, for research, for uploads. So running out of data is not an option for us. And Holofly gives us great peace of mind. So the unlimited data for us is a huge bonus. So if you are traveling overseas this summer, definitely check out Holofly website. They offer over 200 destinations. Once you purchase the eSIM on their website, it is instant. You receive it by email, and it is really easy to install. You can get 5% off on the Holofly website with the discount code theoutfit.
Alrighty, that about wraps up this week's video. That kind of brings this part of the Skadi 2.0 build to a close. There are definitely some tweaks and fixes that need to be made when we leave Iceland and come back to Jans. I've noticed where the front drive shaft is very close to one of the engine mounts as well as part of the turbo, so I think that'll need to be tweaked a little bit just to make sure it's bulletproof. Fingers crossed everything works well off-road. The 6x6 definitely seems to be working. But who knows with Skadi. So we will sort of finish up here. There won't be any videos about Iceland quite yet. We're gonna spend a lot of our time focusing on this movie and sort of recollecting our thoughts and kind of just enjoying for a little bit without having to just push out vlogs all the time. Thank you so much for watching until now, and we'll see you on the next one.